Howard, looking ahead at a high level, what do you think are the biggest risks that investors face today?
That question depends on what they consider important. Most people would say that the biggest risk is a decline related to inflation and bad economic news. But that, in my experience, is a temporary problem. I think the biggest risk is to not be in the market. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the market, economies and markets have a positive underlying trend. You know, there are cycles around that trend, but underlying, we have a positive trend. For example, I think it's accurate to say that for the last 90 years, the S&P 500 index has gained about 10% a year. And I think that if you invested $1 90 years ago, and you still have it in today, I think you have about $8,000. This is compounding. And this is, if you think about it that way, it's certainly a process you don't want to interrupt. And I think that's the risk. So if one of your viewers says now, well, I want to sell some stocks because I'm worried about the inflation and tight money and Ukraine. Fine, sell your stocks. When are you going to get back in? And Charlie Munger always talks about the fact that this is a two-decision action because you have to decide to get out and then you have to decide to get back in. And if you don't get back in and you don't participate in the long-term benefits, then you've made a big mistake. The other thing is, when you look at the history of the market, for any given period, you say, well, the average return is 10%. But you'll find that, let's say it's a 10-year period, you'll find that the vast majority of the gains, or a very large part of the gains, were earned on 20 days out of 10 years. So if you jump in and jump out and spend time out of the market, you may miss those 20 days. Nobody knows when they're coming. Obviously, if anybody knew when they were coming, they would pile in. But if they knew they were coming, they would be anticipated, so they wouldn't come. And I guess to beat this dead horse, the way I would say it is, your expectations should be modest. Your opinion of your own abilities to time these things should be modest. If you stand at a bus stop long enough, you'll get a bus. If you run from bus stop to bus stop, you may never get a bus. And I think that that's very important. And people should not overestimate their abilities in this regard, both retail clients and professionals. And they should act accordingly. And one of the, by the way, in the later edition of The Most Important Thing, which is called The Most Important Thing Illuminated, we added a 22nd chapter.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, take a look at the end. Chapter 21.
Okay.
Says, I think.
Putting all together.
Here, let me take a look. No, not that one. That's the summary. That should be 21. But 20 says, the most important thing is reasonable expectations.
Right, yeah.
So to expect that you're going to get out in a timely fashion and in a timely fashion is not reasonable. And that's why I argue against it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done it already.